Assalamualaikum. My name is Education Wali and I am a student at Rehan College, Karachi. So in today's video, I'm gonna talk to Paul Maya about overcoming procrastination. So let's start. Uh,
Hey, hey,
Hi Maya, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How about you? What's on your mind today?
So I'm good too. So I was thinking to talk to you about overcoming procrastination. Can you please tell me about what is exactly procrastination?
Procrastination is basically when you keep putting off tasks you know you need to do, even though it makes things harder on yourself later. It's not just being lazy. Often it's about avoiding feelings like stress, overwhelm, or even just not knowing where to start. Why are you asking?
Okay, I was asking just to get to know about it. So, is procrastination a self-control failure or an emotional regulation problem?
That's a good question because it's actually a bit of all three. Uh, Procrastination isn't just about lacking self control, like, I should just force myself to do this. It's often about emotional regulation. You're trying to avoid feeling anxious or overwhelmed by a task, so you distract yourself instead. And when you keep doing that instead of actually doing the work, it becomes a pattern of self control failure. Does that make sense?
So, which one is exactly it is? Like, it is self-control failure or emotional regulation? What is it exactly to be?
It's not really an either or situation, they're all connected. But at its core, I'd say procrastination is more about emotional regulation. You're avoiding the uncomfortable feelings a task brings up, so you choose something easier instead. That temporary relief feels good in the moment, but then the lack of action becomes a self control problem down the line. The emotional stuff comes first, though. That's what usually kicks things off.
Okay, I got it. So, what happens in the brain when someone procrastinates? Can you tell me that?
Sure. Essentially, when you think about a task you're dreading, your amygdala, the emotion center in your brain, lights up. It basically tells you, this feels bad, avoid it. So, to feel better immediately, your brain shifts to something more pleasurable. But the limbic system, the one that wants instant gratification, wins out over the prefrontal cortex, which handles planning and decision making. It's like your brain is choosing short term comfort over long term goals. Is that explain it okay?
Yes, you are explaining it very well. So, as you said, brain prefers short-term player over long-term success. So, why does this brain prefer short-term player over long-term success or goals? Can you tell me that?
Your brain evolved to focus on immediate survival. So, short term, rewards feel more urgent and important than abstract future gains. Think about it. Our ancestors needed to find food now or escape danger now, not worry about planning for years ahead. That survival instinct still drives us to prioritize immediate relief, even when it hurts us in the long run. What's making procrastination feel especially hard for you right now?
You are right about that. For me, it's not that something that hard. Like I'm not getting that procrastination. So I'm just discussing it with you. So can you tell me is procrastination linked to dopamine level?
That's a really insightful question. It's definitely linked to dopamine, but not in the way you might think. Procrastination often gives you a temporary dopamine boost from choosing something easier and more enjoyable right now. That immediate reward feels good, but it makes it harder to focus on the bigger delayed rewards. When you actually get something done, though, that's when dopamine gets released in a way that creates motivation to keep going. So it's more about mismanaging that dopamine system rather than a low level of dopamine. Does that track?
Okay, so I got it. So how can we overcome this thing like procrastination? Overcome how can overcome procrastination?
Okay, so here's the thing. You can't just willpower your way through it. When you try that, you're fighting your brain's natural tendencies. Instead, you need to change how you frame the task. Start small. Break it down into tiny steps that feel less daunting. Tell yourself you'll work on it for just 5 minutes instead of hours. Reward yourself immediately after finishing each tiny step to get that dopamine hit moving in the right direction. What part of your work feels the most overwhelming right now?
Okay, so I got your advice and I understand it. So for me, it's my every work. I feel like it's hard for me. So I will ask you next question. Can procrastination be reduced through habit rewriting or no?
Habit stacking is actually really effective for breaking down procrastination. That's one of those tiny step things we were talking about. It's easier to stick to something if you add it on to something you already do. For example, after I finish my coffee in the morning, I'll spend 10 minutes working on FD work. The goal is to create a small, manageable thing that doesn't require a lot of effort to start with, then build up from there. Does that idea sound manageable to you?
No, not right now. So you can tell me about it.
So, habit stacking is about linking something you want to do with something you already do consistently. What's something you do every day without fail? Like brushing your teeth, making coffee, eating breakfast, anything like that. Then you attach your FD work to it. Maybe after brushing my teeth, I spend 5 minutes reviewing my FD notes. It's the automatic nature of your existing habit that pushes you to start the new one. It's a lot less draining than trying to find motivation from scratch.
So you mean we can reduce procrastination by doing these daily routine things?
Yeah, exactly. When you attach the thing you're putting off, in your case, FD work, to an existing routine, it feels less overwhelming because it's already part of your day. It's easier to trick your brain into starting when it's already in routine mode. Plus, you're building momentum. Once you've started something, you're more likely to keep going. The small, automatic steps are way easier than trying to make a big leap all at once.
Okay, so I that you try to work on it. So can you tell me if procrastination is a part of someone's personality or is it learned behavior?
It's more learned behavior than built in personality. Procrastination gets stronger the more you do it. Think of it like this: when you give into that urge to delay, your brain learns that's how it deals with stress. Over time, that avoidance becomes this automatic pattern, almost a habit. But that also means it can be unlearned. The more you practice facing those tasks instead of putting them off, especially those small steps we talked about, the more you can train your brain out of it.
Okay, so you mean that it can't be someone's personality, but it can be a behavior of someone, right?
Exactly. It's not that you're just naturally a procrastinator, it's a pattern of response to tasks that feels unpleasant or overwhelming. Anyone can fall into that pattern and anyone can break it. Personality might influence your inclination towards avoiding discomfort, but procrastination is the behavior that happens because of it, not the personality itself.
Okay, so can you tell me if procrastination is more about fear than laziness for
Good question. It's definitely more about the underlying emotions than it is about just plain laziness or difficulty with work. It's often fear, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of judgment. You're avoiding the task because you're actually avoiding these feelings. The work itself might not be that bad. It's what it represents and how it makes you feel that trips us up. Right. A lot of people think they're just not motivated, but that's actually less common than you think. You might have lots of ideas and goals, but get stuck when the work feels overwhelming or triggers anxiety. Procrastination isn't wanting to do nothing, it's doing something else instead because you're emotionally avoiding the thing you know you should be working on. That's a good point. The textbook definition of procrastination is putting off tasks while knowing it'll cause problems. If someone always finishes before the deadline, they might not be truly procrastinating. It's more like perfectionism, where they thrive under pressure or they just work better with the adrenaline kick. If finishing before the deadline causes real stress and anxiety, then yeah, there's still procrastination there. You're just managing to pull it off last minute. What's the situation with you specifically? Are you someone who hits those deadlines but feels anxious while doing it?
Okay, can you repeat the question?
Sure. I was asking whether you personally finish tasks right before the deadline. I wanted to know if finishing close to the deadline causes stress or anxiety. Someone who always finishes on time might not be procrastinating if they're comfortable with their own timeline. But if it's only by a last minute scramble that you get it done and that stresses you out, then that's probably still procrastination, even if you meet the deadline.
I almost completed all tasks before the deadline, so that means I am not procrastinating. Like,
Okay, that's good. If you're generally finishing things before the deadline without feeling constantly stressed about it, then what you're doing might just be your natural work style. Some people work better under a bit of pressure. The real signs of procrastination are that stress, anxiety, and guilt you feel when delaying things. If you're not experiencing that, then it sounds like you're managing just fine.
but I am the person who works better under pressure. When I'm pressured, I
Well,
work
that
better.
okay, that's totally fine. Some people genuinely do work better under pressure. If that pressure actually energizes you and helps you focus instead of causing stress, then there's nothing wrong with it. You've figured out your own workflow that works for you. Just make sure that pressure doesn't turn into chronic anxiety or burnout over time, though.
Well, it makes me, it helps me work more focus. Like it's makes me focus more on the work when I'm under pressure. So, can you tell me if procrastination protection mechanism or not?
Yeah. If pressure actually helps you focus, that can definitely be your system. It sounds like procrastination isn't really happening for you in the same way it does for others who get stuck. But the strategies we've been talking about can still help. Breaking tasks down, habit stacking, they're more about optimizing efficiency than fixing a problem you don't really have. Just keeping the work moving is what you need. And maybe that pressure is your natural engine for it.
Okay, so is procrastination irrational or does it serve a hidden purpose?
That's a really interesting question. It definitely feels irrational, but it actually serves a psychological purpose. Procrastination is usually about managing short term mood. It feels terrible to think something about managing short term mood. It feels terrible to think about doing something stressful or unpleasant. So you distract yourself with something easier. That temporary relief gives your brain that dopamine hit, even if it leads to more anxiety later. So technically, procrastination.
Okay, so Maya, can you tell me if is free will involved in procrastination or is it just brain chemistry?
I think I missed something there. It was cutting in and out. Could you say that again a little clearer?
Okay, I can ask. you again that if I was asking, is free will involved in procrastination or is it just brain chemistry?
Ah, okay. I get it now. You're wondering if procrastination comes down to free will, like whether you consciously choose to put things off or just brain chemistry, right? It's definitely both, actually. Your brain chemistry sets up the urge, the emotional reward of distraction versus the pain of doing the task. But your choices and how you respond to those urges matter too. For example, when you know you should work but pick your phone instead, that's still a choice you're making in that moment. The brain chemistry pushes you that way, but you still have agency. What do you think about that breakdown?
I think that's good too. So, what is the most scientifically proven way to stop procrastination?
Don't put that in nature. Could you repeat that? The connection seems to be getting a bit choppy.
I was asking what is the most significant scientifically proven way to stop procrastination?
Okay, got it. Scientifically speaking, the clearest thing is this: break it down into tiny steps. It's weirdly effective. The idea is that overwhelming tasks activate that stress response we just talked about, but tiny steps like open the document or work for just 5 minutes don't. They're small enough your brain doesn't freak out and avoid them. Plus, each tiny step gives you a small win, which actually triggers dopamine and makes you want to keep going. Have you ever tried something like that?
No, I don't think I've tried anything like that. So, how can someone train discipline like a muscle?
That's a great analogy. Thinking of discipline like a muscle is actually pretty accurate. You basically train it the same way: start small, be consistent, and gradually increase the challenge. Instead of trying to overhaul everything at once, pick one small habit you want to build, maybe working for just 15 minutes on something you've been avoiding. Do it every day, no matter what. Then, after a week or two, add another 5 minutes. The key is consistency over intensity. You might not feel immediately different, but over time, that muscle will get stronger. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Good. Okay, so what would a zero procrastination lifestyle realistically look like?
Good. What's one tiny step you could take today on something you've been putting off? Just one small thing, doesn't have to be big or amazing, just something you can do in the next hour or so.
Okay, so can you tell me if procrastination is connected to self worth?
Yeah, absolutely. Your phone is basically procrastination's best friend. It's designed for instant gratification. Every notification, every app designed for endless scrolling, they all offer that quick hit of dopamine we've been talking about. And because your brain learns to associate phones with that dopamine, it's super easy to get distracted instead of facing something difficult. It's not that phones are evil, but they make procrastination way easier because they're offering immediate reward right there in your hand.
Okay, thank you, Maya, for answering my questions. So I want to end this call right now. Thank you so much for answering the questions. Okay,
You're really welcome. Glad I could help clarify things. It sounds like you've got a good handle on how procrastination works now.
yeah, I understood like I understood what you're talking about and I got to know about procrastination very well too. So thank you and bye bye.
That's awesome to hear. I'm glad everything clicked for you. Talk soon.
Okay, bye. Now bye bye. Bye. So thank you for watching and Allah Hafiz.